Okay, let's give you guys some more practice. So given these two functions here, f of x equals 1 over x and g of x equals this here, find the domain for this function here. Okay, so here you've got this function here burying itself into this function here. So well, anyway, find the domain for this function here. So press pause and have a go. Okay, so to do this here, we can imagine a function as being a machine where well, you finding the domain is you finding out what you can put into this machine without it breaking down. So here you've got a machine, and within this machine there's another machine. So this machine here, the inner machine, you can think of it as being 1 over x. The outer machine, you can think of it as being this, 5 over x minus 3. So your job is to find out what you can put into this machine without it breaking down. So it has to work for the inner one. Well, if the inner machine breaks down, the whole machine breaks down. If the outer machine breaks down, you can still say the whole machine breaks down. So you finding the domain is you finding what you can put into this machine without it breaking down. So let's look at the domain for this function here. Meaning, let's look at what we can put into this inner machine without it breaking down. Now, the domain for this one here, well, looking at this function here breaks down when this is 0. So when x equals 0, this whole function breaks down. If you put 0 into this machine here, the inner machine will break down because 1 divided by 0, it will break down. So you can imagine the domain for this function as being this. So it's anything on the real number line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on here. So the domain for this function here is really everything on this line except from the number 0 itself. Okay, so you can select x to be anything on the real number line except from the one element 0. Okay, and while looking at this one here, looking at this function here, remember we are going to bury this into here. So what you've got here is really this. When you bury this inside here, what you've got here is this, 5 over 1 over x minus 3. Because when you bury this thing here into this here, you can see that this whole thing here is this thing here. So it's this thing, take away 3. Okay, so when you bury the f of x into the g, it will look like this. Now, looking at this function here, the whole function here breaks down when this is 0. Well, when is this 0? Well, it's 0 when this is positive 3. Okay, so this here, when this is positive 3, it breaks down. So when is this equals positive 3? Well, it equals positive 3 when x equals a third. Okay, because yeah, well, if you put a third into this thing here, into this x here, this here will equal positive 3, and then meaning that the whole thing here will equal 0. My point here is that if you once you put this thing into this x here, well, if x happens to be a third, well, if you put a third into this machine here, okay, it works fine in the inner function, but once you pass the inner function and go out into the outer function, the outer machine will break down basically. So the domain for this thing here, for this function here, will look like this. So you've got your number line 0, 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, and so on here. When it's a third here, let's say this is a third here. You see, looking at this here, x can be anything except from a third. So your domain here will look like this. Anything. So here the domain here will be you can select anything for this function here. Remember, don't forget you're burying this into here. for this function here, it can be anything on the real number line except from the one element a third. Okay, so so now if you look at this here, if you put 0 into this machine, the inner one breaks down. But the if you put 0 into here, 0 wouldn't actually break down the outer machine. Now if you put a third in here, it works fine for the inner machine, but when it comes to the outer machine, it will break down. If you put a third into the outer machine, it will break down. So looking at this here, so you've got to, when you're searching for your domain, basically what you can put into this machine here. So anything, well, when you search for your domain, it has to satisfy, well, it has to be the in well if you looking at this here, it can be anything. It can be anything on the real number line except from the number 0 and except from the number 3. So sorry, the number a third. So here you can select anything except from this one here and except from this one here. So so overall the hang on, overall the domain for g of f of x close close, the domain for this thing would be x belonging to anything on the real number line except from the two elements 0 and a third. Okay, so this here is your domain for this composite function. Okay.